What's up, horror fans? It's Danny from the Lasercast, and we're talking again about Halloween because I just watched the first episode of Shudder's new series, Behind the Monsters, and of course, who else are you going to start with this time of year than Michael Myers? I'm showing off my Fright Rags Michael Myers Halloween lunchbox that does in fact come with the old school thermos, and I'm showing that off because in the episode, as they talk about how these, monsters, these horror movie icons, have started to become pop culture icons, they show bits of merchandise, and they actually show that lunchbox. I mean, Charlotte and I were watching it together, and Charlotte's like, oh, Daddy, you have that. Then they showed a coffee mug that I also have in the kitchen, and yeah, I was like, yeah, I have a lot of Halloween stuff. This show, for hardcore Halloween fans, for hardcore horror fans, I don't know if you're going to get anything necessarily new. You're not going to get anything mind-blowing that you don't already know from having watched probably countless horror documentaries, countless behind-the-scenes featurettes on DVDs and Blu-rays. But it's 45 minutes, and you get an amazing array of people from the Halloween movies. I mean, they have interview snippets with John Carpenter, Jamie Lee Curtis, who Charlotte saw, I think, with short hair for the first time and was like, she has short hair? She's really pretty with short hair. I said, yeah, and then I realized I watched Halloween H2O. I rewatched Halloween H2O without Charlotte, so maybe I have to watch it again with her because obviously Laurie Strode had short hair in that movie. There's a great part that I loved in this documentary series where Christopher Benson, who is the guy who created the mask for the new movie, he sits with Nick Castle and James Jude Courtney, and they talk about, the legacy of what it means to make the mask, put on the mask, and wear the mask. And Nick Castle's just infinitely charming. Charlotte and I met him at a horror convention, Charlotte's first horror convention a couple of years ago. She got to meet Nick Castle, and I was like, yeah, that's the first Michael Myers. That's the guy in the first movie. And she was like, and he's like, at this stage, he's almost 70 years old. He looks like a guy you just want to give a big hug. And she was like a little nervous. But now she watches him in the video and she's like, oh, I love him. And he's so funny. He's talking about being on the set of the original movie and trying to ask John Carpenter, how should I walk? And John Carpenter just tells him, just go walk. And he was like overthinking the Michael Myers walk. And I thought that was such a funny little anecdote. And James Jude Courtney, who is just blowing people away. Whatever your opinion of Halloween Kills and Halloween 2018, I know the opinions vary. I really liked Halloween Kills. I liked parts, no, let me rephrase that. I'm sorry. I really liked Halloween 2018. I liked parts of Halloween Kills, but overall I found it kind of frustrating and not great. That said, everybody agrees that James Jude Courtney is an absolutely amazing, maybe the best Michael Myers that's ever been on screen. And he talks about how when he puts the mask on, it does something to him. Like, he said that he doesn't like wearing the mask unless he's about to film for the movie, and then he can get into the character. But if he's not filming, he doesn't want the mask on. And I thought that was really creepy. And they spend a lot of time talking about the mask, because I think that was always, for me, what I clung to with Halloween, why I think Halloween is easily one of, if not the greatest horror movie ever made, is because the mask makes Michael something totally different. Jason never did anything for me. And it's a hockey mask. you know, you're not going to be scared of a hockey mask. And, you know, there's this great part of the Behind the Monsters where Tommy Lee Wallace, the, you know, production designer, and he ended up directing Halloween 3, directing It, 1990. He is literally, he's the guy who went to the store and got the Shatner mask, and then he shows how they basically made it. You know, you take the Shatner mask and you pull off the sideburns, you pull off the eyebrows, and then he gets the exact spray can of the exact shade of white that he used. He puts like a shower cap on the hair of the mask, spray paints it, and it's that pale white face that, as Loomis describes it, emotionless face with the blackest eyes, that allows that mask to just come out of the darkness. That epic scene in the original movie where the mask, you know, where Laurie backs up and Michael comes out slowly out of the darkness. I'm almost 40 years old, and Michael Myers is the only horror movie villain that I actively have nightmares about, and I'm open about that. I can admit that. I don't have nightmares about Jason and Freddy or The Evil Dead or The Conjuring. No, Michael Myers, still, every once in a while, I'll have a legit Michael Myers Halloween nightmare. And it's all because of that mask, the mask from the original movie. They also do a very nice job of going through the series. They spend a lot of time on that first movie. They show a lot of those famous still photos of Nick Castle goofing around on set, holding the mask, making silly faces. I was actually describing to Charlotte. I actually paused. I was about to pause the show to show her the picture. I was going to Google image the picture of Nick Castle wearing the mask on top of his head with the soda can. And then they actually showed it in the episode, and she loved that. She thought it was hilarious. They then go through the whole series. They talk about how each sequel in the movies, whether you like them or not, they watered down what makes the original so special. Tony Timpone does a really good job. The guy who was the editor-in-chief of Fangoria, talking about how 4 and 5 and 6, it just completely, you're trying to give meaning to this meaningless masked killer, and it just dilutes everything. Although I do have to give credit to Anya Stanley, who I follow on Twitter, great horror mind, and she defended Halloween 6. I am a big Halloween 6 defender. I'm actually going to have a video coming up tomorrow about my love is a strong word, my enjoyment of Halloween 6. I think it's one of the better sequels in the series. It ranks near, not near the top, but near the top of the middle on my ranking. And they go into the Rob Zombie movies. They have a lot of fun talking heads from the world of horror, actors, podcasters, people who you'll recognize from countless documentaries. Michael Gingold is there. Ryan Turek is there. I mentioned Anya Stanley. Yeah, there's a lot of these talking head figures that you've seen before or you know of, and they talk about the sequels. H2O being the movie that revitalized the series, and then Resurrection, and Rob Zombie's movies, which were not, don't have the greatest track record, even though, again, I have this kind of weird fascination with them. Somebody brings up the idea of the Halloween franchise is it's the choose your own adventure saga for horror fans. And that's really what Pete and I have been doing this month. In our discussion last night where we talked about H2O and Resurrection, we then went into what our favorite timeline of the Halloween franchise is. You can watch part 1. You could do just parts 1 and 2. You could do parts 1, 2, and H2O. You could do 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. You could just watch Rob Zombie movies. It is forever fascinating. You could watch Halloween, the original, and then the David Gordon Green new ones. it is fascinating how many times this series has managed to reinvent itself. And it's all because it has what I believe is probably the most fascinating horror movie villain of the last 50 years, and that's Michael Myers, the Shape. They do spend a really cool amount of time talking about, what is the Shape versus who is Michael Myers. And that's a question. And again, it comes back to, is he a force of nature? Is it better when we know nothing about him, like the first movie? Or do we want to know his entire backstory? Do we want to know that he's a product of an awful family and a borderline psychopath from the Rob Zombie movies? Do we want to believe that he is part of a pagan thorn cult, which is the plot thread of parts 4, 5, and 6? Do we want to believe that he is Michael Myers, that he's Laurie Strode's older brother, or that they have no relationship whatsoever? It is a literal choose-your-own-adventure story. This series gets off to a very good start. Like I said, if you're a hardcore Halloween fan, a hardcore horror movie fan, and you're looking to find out new information that you've never heard before, you're probably not going to get that here. If you're a Halloween fan who just can't get enough Halloween content, or a horror fan that just soaks up all of this horror content, even the stuff you've heard before from different people, and you just want to hear these stories again and hear a few cool little anecdotes along the way, I think you're going to love this series. It's 45 minutes per episode. This was the first one. They're going to get to other horror icons like Jason, like Freddy, Candyman, Chucky. I can't wait to see where this series goes. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm hoping that Charlotte watched the episode with me. She loved it. And, for her age, she's probably seen more horror and more intense horror than most people her age. For her, this was a great 45-minute little documentary. So if you have that kind of young horror movie fan in your family, in your life, that you want to, introduce to these characters, this is a great kind of gateway show for those people. So I can't wait. I'm going to be covering this every week. I'm going to try to get Charlotte to sit with me and watch these episodes. Behind the Monsters is on Shudder now. Go get Shudder. And then like the video and subscribe to the Lacercast, because we have so much Halloween content. We have reviews, we have interviews, we have discussions, we have rankings, we have everything. Come, like, share our videos, subscribe, and we'll see you very soon. Happy Halloween.